attack on the Negro Fort, which we'll talk about later on.
We are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Jackson orders these things. He's not necessarily on site to be the one to orchestrate them, but he was behind it. And if you go even earlier than Jackson, there were other presidents who ordered operations against blacks that enhanced slavery and today are shameful.
Well, let's move on then, because I know you would be interested in telling us about the Dade.
The Dade Battle?
Yeah, the Dade Battle. Tell us about the Dade Battle.
Well, let's talk about who Dade was. Mm-hmm. Major Francis L. Dade, Leghorn Dade, was a brevet major in the United States Cavalry. He was in his 30s in 1834 when this happened. Dade was stationed in what's now Tampa. It was called Fort Brooke at that time. Mm-hmm. And we're talking 1834. At that time, there was a truce. There was a treaty between the U.S. government and the Seminole Indians that the Seminole Indians would occupy the interior of Florida. The white people could have the coastline. So all the land 12 miles along the coast, all that was white people's country, white people's territory. But to go outside of that, to go into the interior, the Army had to have the permission of the Seminole tribe of the Indians. And Dade, in December of 1834, leaves Tampa, Fort Brooke, with about 104 men, marching where? To Ocala. That meant he had to go into the interior of the state, and they didn't ask permission to do that. So I think December 28th or so, it was cold and rainy, and Dade has his men walking across the swamps, led by a slave named Pacheco. Pacheco's on foot in front, and then Dade is on a horse behind him, and then the troops are behind them. But that's how they were proceeding through the woods. And the men it was raining and cold, so they sort of wrapped themselves up in their big heavy coats. And all of a sudden, these Seminoles spring up in the sawgrass and start shooting. And the first volley, they killed Dade. So Dade is shot off. He's dead before he hits the ground. And then the soldiers, the 100 or so soldiers, gathered themselves up into a little enclosure. They cut down some trees and made a little barricade. And then they all jumped